Your evacuation failed. The highways jammed at hour 2, and by hour 4, people were abandoning their cars and walking. You turned back. Now you're home, and the power's been out for 3 days. Cell towers are dark. The internet is gone. Your expensive emergency radio, the one with the solar panel and the hand crank, the plastic gear inside stripped on day 1. Your lithium battery bank, it's swollen and useless because you stored it fully charged like the manual said not to. The mylar emergency blankets tore the first time you tried to use them, but the stuff you were going to throw away last spring, that's what's keeping you alive. Aluminum foil, heavy-duty trash bags, duct tape, bleach, baking soda. Items so basic, so unglamorous, the survival industry won't even acknowledge they exist. Today, you're going to learn why these 20 everyday items are more tactical than anything at REI. Every prepper I know has spent money on gear they think is essential. Water filtration straws, tactical knives, emergency radios with 17 functions. Here's what actually works when that gear fails. Let's start with the most obvious one nobody takes seriously. Aluminum foil. Sounds basic, right? Wrong. A standard roll of heavy-duty aluminum foil solves problems your tactical gear can't touch. First, radiation shielding. Aluminum is a decent barrier against alpha and beta particles. Wrap your electronics in 3 layers and you've got improvised EMP protection. Not military grade, but better than nothing when the pulse hits. Second, Faraday cage. Line a metal trash can with foil, seal your devices inside, ground the can. Your phones and radios survive, while everyone else's hardware turns to expensive bricks. Third, solar water purification. Crumple foil into a bowl shape. Add clear plastic over contaminated water. Let the sun do the work. The foil reflects heat, accelerates evaporation, condenses clean water on the plastic. Fourth, signaling. A 2-foot sheet reflects sunlight visible for miles. Search and rescue teams can spot it from aircraft. Cost per roll, $4. Shelf life, indefinite. Trash bags. Heavy-duty, contractor grade, 3 mm thickness minimum. The outdoor industry sells you a $60 waterproof stuff sack. A pack of trash bags costs $8 and does the same job better. Line your backpack, waterproof your gear. Use them as emergency ponchos. Cut armholes and a head hole, you've got rain protection. Need to transport water? A heavy-duty bag holds 30 gallons. That's 250 pounds of water. Your fancy collapsible container holds 5 gallons and costs $35. Need shelter? Trash bags filled with leaves make insulation blocks. Stack them, build walls, trap dead air. The bags don't breathe, so they hold heat. You've just built an improvised shelter with better thermal retention than a $200 tent. Duct tape. Everyone thinks they know what duct tape does. They don't. Yes, it repairs things, but here's what the tactical gear companies don't advertise. Duct tape makes improvised tourniquets work. You can't just wrap fabric around a limb. You need backing that doesn't stretch. Duct tape provides that. Layer it over cloth, maintain pressure, stop bleeding. Splints. Wrap tape around a stick and a broken limb. The adhesive creates structural support. Blisters. Cover a hot spot before it breaks. The tape takes the friction instead of your skin. Heat retention. Tape the cuffs of your jacket and pants. Seal the gaps where body heat escapes. A single roll of Gorilla Tape costs $6 and lasts years in storage. Bleach. Unscented sodium hypochlorite, 5 to 6% concentration. Water purification chemistry is simple. 8 drops of unscented bleach per gallon of clear water. 16 drops if the water is cloudy. Wait 30 minutes. The chlorine kills bacteria, viruses, and protozoa. Your $80 filter cartridge clogs after 500 gallons. A gallon jug of bleach purifies 9,000 gallons and costs $3. Surface sterilization. Dilute 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. You've got hospital-grade disinfectant. Wipe down surfaces, kill pathogens, prevent disease spread in close quarters, removes biological threats, blood, feces, vomit. These carry disease. Bleach breaks down organic matter at the molecular level. The survival industry wants you buying proprietary solutions. Bleach works better and costs nothing. But those are just the basics. The next 4 items are sitting in your bathroom and kitchen right now, and every single one of them solves a problem the outdoor industry charges $50 to $200 for. Let's talk about chemical warfare you can buy at the grocery store. The outdoor industry wants you buying specialized gear for every problem. First aid kits with proprietary components, hygiene products in tactical packaging. Here's what works permanently and costs nothing. Baking soda. Sodium bicarbonate. This is chemistry you can use. Acid neutralization. If you've got a chemical burn, baking soda paste neutralizes acids on contact. Mix it with water, apply it to the burn, the pH shifts toward neutral and the damage stops. Fire suppressant for grease fires. Water makes grease fires worse. Baking soda smothers the flame and releases carbon dioxide when heated. Keep a box next to your stove. Toothpaste and deodorant. Mix baking soda with water, you've got toothpaste. Apply it dry to your armpits, it absorbs moisture and kills odor-causing bacteria. Antacid. A teaspoon in water neutralizes stomach acid. Your tactical first aid kit has antacid tablets for $8. A box of baking soda costs $1 and lasts a year. Wound cleaning. A paste of baking soda draws out infection, reduces inflammation. Military field medicine has used this for decades. Vinegar. White vinegar, 5% acetic acid. Disinfectant. Acetic acid kills bacteria and some viruses on surfaces. It's not as strong as bleach, but it's food safe. You can disinfect food prep areas without worrying about residue. Food preservation. Vinegar stops bacterial growth. Pickle vegetables. They last months without refrigeration. You've just extended your food supply without electricity. Rust removal. Soak rusted tools in vinegar overnight. The acid dissolves iron oxide. Your $15 rust remover spray does the same thing and comes in a smaller bottle. pH balance for water. If your water source is too alkaline, vinegar brings it back to neutral. Antifungal. Diluted vinegar treats athlete's foot, nail fungus, skin infections. The outdoor industry sells antifungal creams for $12. A gallon of vinegar costs $3. Rubbing alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol, 70% concentration minimum. Sterilization. This is medical-grade disinfectant. Clean wounds. Sterilize instruments. Disinfect surfaces. The 70% concentration is optimal because the water content slows evaporation and gives the alcohol time to penetrate cell walls. Fuel source. Isopropyl burns clean. Use it to start fires in wet conditions or as emergency lamp fuel. Cooling compress. Isopropyl evaporates fast and pulls heat from skin. Apply it to a cloth for fever reduction. Removes adhesives, duct tape residue, bandage adhesive, sticky labels. Isopropyl dissolves the glue without damaging most surfaces. Plastic wrap. Standard kitchen cling film. Here's where it gets medical. Occlusive dressing for chest wounds. If someone takes a penetrating injury to the chest, air enters the pleural cavity and the lung collapses. That's a pneumothorax. It kills in minutes. You need an occlusive dressing that seals the wound and prevents air entry. Plastic wrap does this. Tape 3 sides. Leave the 4th side open as a flutter valve. Air exits but can't enter. You've just stabilized a sucking chest wound with $2 worth of materials. The marketed occlusive dressings cost $15 each and do the exact same thing. Waterproofs bandages. Wrap plastic film over a dressing. It stays dry and clean. Food preservation without refrigeration. Wrap food tight. Minimize air exposure. Slow bacterial growth. Now here's where it gets dangerous for the system. The next 4 items aren't just practical, they're superior to military spec gear that costs 100 times more. Part 2. The Hardware Store Arsenal. Your tactical shelter costs $400. It'll last 3 years if you're lucky. The fabric delaminates, the poles bend, the zippers fail. Here's what actually works when your marketed gear becomes garbage. Tyvek house wrap. This is the material construction crews use to weatherproof houses before installing siding. It's waterproof, breathable, windproof, and nearly indestructible. Tyvek is spun-bonded olefin, a high-density polyethylene fiber that's woven and heat-pressed into sheets. Tear resistance up to 50 pounds of force. That means you can drag it through brush, stake it down in high wind, and it won't rip. A 9 by 100 foot roll costs $40 and gives you enough material to build multiple shelters. Compare that to a tactical tarp at $80 for 10 by 12 feet that tears the first time you use it. Tyvek breathes, so condensation doesn't build up inside your shelter. It blocks wind completely, and it lasts decades in UV exposure without degrading. PVC pipe, Schedule 40. The outdoor industry sells you collapsible poles for $60. A 10-foot section of Schedule 40 PVC costs $8. Water storage. Cap both ends, you've got a sealed container that holds 2 gallons and won't leak. Shelter frame. Cut pipes to length. Connect with joints. Build a rigid structure for tarps or Tyvek. Periscope. 2 angled mirrors inside a pipe. You can see over obstacles without exposing yourself. Improvised weapon. A 3-foot section of Schedule 40 is a staff or TON-FI. Protected document storage. Seal important papers inside. Bury it. They stay dry indefinitely. Hydroponic systems. Drill holes. Grow food vertically when soil is contaminated. Mylar emergency blankets. Everyone thinks these are just for warmth. Wrong. Radiant heat reflection is 90%. Wrap yourself in mylar. Your body heat bounces back instead of radiating into the air. But here's what the survival industry doesn't advertise. Signaling. Mylar reflects light. Hang it in a tree. Search teams spot it from miles away. Water collection. Spread it on the ground at night. Dew condenses on the surface. Channel it into containers. Ground insulation. Place it under your sleeping bag. It blocks heat loss to the cold ground. Improvised greenhouse. Wrap plants in mylar, trap heat, extend growing seasons. A pack of 10 emergency blankets costs $12. Your tactical survival blanket costs $35 and does one job. Mason's line. The preparedness industry sells tactical paracord for $15 per 100 feet. Mason's line costs $8 for 500 feet and has the same tensile strength. 500 pounds minimum breaking strength. It's braided nylon, UV resistant, doesn't rot, doesn't stretch when wet. Construction crews use it for decades of outdoor work. It's not branded, it's not marketed, it's just engineered to last. If you buy gear that lasts 20 years, you're not a repeat customer. The industry needs you replacing equipment every few seasons. Mason's line breaks that model, but shelter is only part of survival. If you can't generate power, purify water, and stay warm without fuel, you're just delaying the inevitable. The next 4 items solve thermodynamic problems the energy industry pretends don't have simple solutions. The energy storage industry sold you lithium batteries that die in 5 years, portable generators that need fuel you can't get, solar panels feeding systems that degrade from the day you install them. Here's what doesn't fail when the physics actually matter. Terracotta pots and tea lights. This is radiant heating based on a principle called the Zier pot. You need 2 terracotta pots, different sizes, and tea light candles. Place the small pot upside down over the candles. Cover it with the larger pot. The terracotta absorbs heat from the flame and radiates it outward. A single tea light produces about 100 BTUs per hour. That's not much. But terracotta is porous ceramic, and it stores thermal energy. The pot stays warm for hours after the flame goes out. 4 tea lights under a terracotta setup can raise the temperature in a small room by 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit. It's safe for indoor use because the flame is contained, and the carbon monoxide output is minimal with proper ventilation. A pack of 100 tea lights costs $8. Your portable propane heater costs $150 and runs out of fuel in 12 hours. Glass bottles, wine bottles, liquor bottles, any clear glass. Solar water purification uses UV radiation to kill pathogens. It's called the SODIS method, and the World Health Organization has documented its effectiveness. Fill a clear glass bottle with water. Place it in direct sunlight for 6 hours. The UVA radiation penetrates the water and destroys bacteria, viruses, and protozoa at the DNA level. It works. The WHO has used this in developing regions for decades. The bottles also function as improvised magnifying lenses. Focus sunlight through curved glass. Ignite tinder. They store liquids indefinitely without leaching chemicals like plastic dose. And in an emergency, a glass bottle is a blunt weapon. It doesn't break as easily as you think. Coffee filters. Pre-filtration for water systems. Before you run water through your main filter, strain it through coffee filters to remove sediment, debris, and particulates. This extends the life of your expensive filter by months. Improvised face masks. Fold a coffee filter over your nose and mouth. It blocks dust and large particulates. Fire starters. Soak a coffee filter in petroleum jelly. It burns slow and hot for 3 to 5 minutes. Emergency bandages. Coffee filters are sterile when packaged. Use them as wound dressings when you've got nothing else. Ziploc bags, freezer grade. Waterproof your electronics and documents. A phone sealed in a freezer bag survives water exposure. Transport water when containers fail. A freezer bag holds a gallon and weighs nothing. Solar still component. Place a bag inside a larger container. Add vegetation. Seal it. Let condensation collect. Improvised gloves when you need to handle contaminated materials. Wound irrigation. Fill a bag with clean water. Poke a small hole. Squeeze. You've got a sterile irrigation system. You've got power, water, heat, and shelter handled with $30 worth of hardware store materials. But in a grid-down WW3 scenario, the most dangerous limitation isn't physical, it's informational. The next 4 items let you communicate, navigate, and organize when all the infrastructure is gone. Cell towers are down, satellites are contested, GPS is jammed. You need to coordinate with your neighborhood, navigate without digital systems, and preserve information when everything electronic is compromised. Here's how you do it with technology from 1985. AM/FM radio, battery-powered. This is one-way intelligence gathering. You're not transmitting, you're receiving. Emergency broadcasts, government announcements, propaganda analysis. An AM/FM radio pulls signals from the air using technology that's over a century old. It's EMP resistant if it's unplugged when the pulse hits. The circuitry is simple enough that even if components fry, you can repair it with basic electronics knowledge. A battery-powered pocket radio costs $10. It runs for weeks on AA batteries. Compare that to your smartphone that needs daily charging and becomes a brick the moment the grid dies. Hand crank flashlight and radio combo. Infinite power through mechanical advantage. You turn a crank, a dynamo generates electricity, the device works. No batteries to die. No solar panels to degrade. Pure mechanical energy conversion. These combination units give you light and communication with zero dependency on supply chains. Crank for 60 seconds, you get 30 minutes of radio time or 10 minutes of light. Military units have used hand crank systems for decades because they're immune to logistics failures. A decent unit costs $25 and lasts indefinitely. Paper maps and magnetic compass. GPS dies in a contested environment. Satellites get taken out. Signals get jammed. Devices get bricked by EMP. Magnetic navigation doesn't care. The Earth's magnetic field is a physical constant. A compass points north. Because physics says so. You can't jam it. You can't shut it down. Paper maps don't need batteries, don't need updates, don't need authentication. Topographic maps show terrain features that help you navigate when roads are impassable. A compass costs $15. A set of regional maps costs $30. They work forever. Notebooks and pencils. Permanent information storage with zero digital vulnerability. Write down coordinates, supply caches, safe routes, contact schedules. Graphite works in all temperatures, doesn't freeze, doesn't melt. Paper lasts centuries if kept dry. The military still uses paper logs and written orders for critical operations, Because digital systems can be compromised, corrupted, or lost. A pack of field notebooks costs $8. A box of mechanical pencils costs $5. Now put all 20 items together. You've got physical security, shelter, water, heat, power, medical capability, navigation, and communication. Total cost, under $100. No subscriptions, no updates, no planned obsolescence. The survival industry wants you buying systems that fail, so you come back for replacements. These items don't fail. Notice the pattern. Every single one of these items is dismissed as outdated, basic, or stupid by the survival industry, and every single one works better, lasts longer, and costs less than what they're trying to sell you. Let's talk about why. This isn't an accident. It's a business model. Mundane items have no branding opportunity. You can't trademark aluminum foil. You can't patent trash bags. There's no intellectual property moat around duct tape. These items are commodities. Anyone can make them. Profit margins are razor thin. The survival industry can't build a premium brand around a $4 roll of foil. No recurring revenue. Duct tape doesn't require a subscription. Bleach doesn't need software updates. Tyvek doesn't have a service contract. You buy it once, it works for decades, and the company never sees you again. A customer who solves their problem permanently is a customer you lose forever. Can't be obsoleted. Tyvek works the same way in 20 years that it does today. Aluminum foil doesn't need a newer model. Mason's line doesn't become incompatible with future standards. These items are immune to planned obsolescence because they're based on physics and chemistry that don't change. Marketing budget disparity. Trash bags get zero advertising. Tactical gear companies spend millions on sponsorships, influencer partnerships, and media campaigns. They need you thinking in terms of brands, not principles. They need you buying solutions, not understanding problems. Consumer psychology, tactical cells, military-grade cells, advanced polymer technology cells. Trash bag doesn't. The survival industry has trained people to associate preparedness with expense and complexity. If it's cheap and simple, it can't possibly work. That's the conditioning. The industry depends on this. Planned obsolescence and perceived complexity keep you coming back. Lithium batteries die in 5 years. You buy replacements. Tactical jackets lose loft. You upgrade. Water filters clog. You buy refills. The business model requires products that fail on a predictable schedule. The survival industry doesn't want you to be prepared. They want you to be dependent. Dependent on their supply chains, their product cycles, their quarterly earnings. But preparation isn't about buying. It's about understanding. Here's what real preparedness looks like. Total cost for all 20 items, $75 to $100. Compare that to a marketed tactical survival kit at $1,500. Lifespan comparison, decades versus 3 to 5 years. The tactical kit needs replacement twice in a decade. You've spent $3,000. The mundane items are still working. Where to acquire these items? Hardware stores, dollar stores, pharmacies. No specialty retailers, no online tactical gear shops. Walk into Home Depot, CVS, and Dollar General. You leave with everything on this list. No shipping, no waiting, no supply chain vulnerability. But here's the thing. Knowledge is the real tool. Knowing why aluminum foil blocks radiation matters more than owning the foil. Understanding how the SODIS method kills pathogens makes you dangerous. The survival industry sells you products because products are profitable. Knowledge isn't. Once you know how something works, you can improvise, you can substitute, you can repair. Systems thinking. These items multiply effectiveness when combined. Trash bags plus duct tape creates shelter. Bleach plus coffee filters purifies water. Tyvek plus PVC pipe builds structures. Mylar plus terracotta creates heat retention systems. You're not buying 20 separate tools. You're buying components of an anti-fragile system. No single point of failure dependency. If one item fails, you've got alternatives. If you can't get bleach, you've got vinegar. If Tyvek isn't available, you've got trash bags. The system degrades gracefully. Contrast that with your $1,500 tactical kit, where a single component failure can compromise the entire system. You own the solution. You don't rent it. There's no subscription, no software updates, no proprietary replacement parts. These items work independently of corporate infrastructure. When supply chains collapse, when stores close, when the grid dies, your solutions don't stop functioning. You can walk into 3 stores today and leave with everything on this list for less than the cost of one tactical backpack. But here's the final question. What else belongs on this list? The pattern is everywhere once you see it. These 20 items are a starting point, not an end point. Every generation accumulates knowledge that gets buried the moment it stops being profitable. Your grandparents knew how to preserve food without refrigeration. They knew how to repair tools instead of replacing them. They knew how to build systems that lasted. That knowledge didn't disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because companies couldn't monetize it. Preparedness isn't a shopping list. It's a mindset. Question marketing. Understand physics. Learn why things work instead of which brand to buy. Once you understand the principles, you can improvise with whatever you have. You're no longer dependent on supply chains or corporate infrastructure. Independence threatens systems built on dependency. A person who can solve their own problems permanently is a person who doesn't generate recurring revenue. The survival industry needs you coming back. They need you upgrading. They need you believing that solutions are complex and expensive. But the laws of thermodynamics don't care about profit margins. Chemistry doesn't have quarterly earnings reports. Community knowledge sharing is an anti-fragile strategy. The more people who know these things, the harder the system becomes to control. One person with knowledge is a prepper. A neighborhood with knowledge is a threat to the business model. Share what you learn. Teach your neighbors. Build local resilience. So here's my challenge to you. What other mundane items belong on this list? What cheap, simple, unglamorous tools have you found that solve problems better than the expensive alternatives? What knowledge has been buried because it was too good, too permanent, too liberating? Drop it in the comments. The more we share, the harder we are to control. Stay curious. Stay ungovernable. Physics doesn't negotiate with marketing budget.